I'll do that.
Got it.
All righty. So we eventually here, huh? But I mean, this is definitely
jump through 3 apps to get this going.
yeah.
Because this is usually something I'm setting up, most Fridays on Instagram Live. I just try to like reach out, connect with, someone who's following me, someone I've worked with in the past. So this would be broadcast live, and I still want to have that live feeling to it. It's just nobody's gonna be watching live.
Yeah, man. Shit. Sorry about that.
We had some technical difficulty of I don't know what the fuck ish proportions, but dude, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, since we last spoke, obviously I've changed direction. I've been doing a diploma in coaching. Yeah, so it's been a little bit of a different, a bit of a zig or zag, depending on which way you look at it. Feels pretty good.
Yeah, so let's back this up and lay some foundation, because like when we first were working together, you were your business idea, the thing that you were doing was to pretty much help tourism people who are in the tourism industry create a better or establish a better connection with their guests, like long before they ever arrived at their location, whether it's a hotel, a restaurant, a tour they had booked, and then we kind of went our separate ways for a minute, right? And so now you're still living in Portugal.
Yeah.
You're still broadcasting from the surf shack.
Yeah,
exactly. And you have changed from kind of a tourism base to I guess just talk a little more like what are you delivering to people nowadays?
Right. So yeah, I mean I've been pretty, I would say, lost for a while in terms of just trying to figure things out since I left corporate. That's quite a few years back now. And with regards to helping tourism, I just didn't feel like I was fitting in that rut there. It didn't click. One thing I've done is work for, I mean, I've lived in this is the 6th country now. I like people. I like to help people. And coaching really came across to me trying to figure out brand strategy, because it's pretty much an extension of coaching, I guess. It's extension of the person who's running the business. So I also wanted to do it properly, hence the diploma. I don't want to do any fly off the wall. I don't agree with it. And coaching, really doing it that way opened up my eyes to what coaching is. And that's literally no giving anybody your opinion. It's not opinionated. It's non-biased. It's a lot more difficult than I thought originally. So I've gone this route, and I'm still testing the waters, but it's seemingly I'm going the Gen X men route. Responses have been pretty big. I did some initial research, and a lot of people have reached out. Like, we're going through midlife crisis, some of us. I most certainly been trying to refine my path at this age. It's pretty difficult. So I'm sort of going that route. Well, I'm not sort of, I am going that route, but I'm also going the expat route. That's going to take a little longer. That's executive coaching. But for now, it's really Gen X. So I'm really there. Men, especially of our generation, we've been taught to kind of do it alone. Don't complain.
Now, when you say your generation, how old are you nowadays?
47.
You're 47. Okay, so I'm 37. So there's a weird how it's just like you're the Gen X, and then I am, I guess they call it the elder millennial, right? Where it's like millennials are hitting their 40s now, and Gen X, I feel, is just like I feel like you're the youngest Gen Xer I know, going into some of them are hitting their 60s now. So
yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's really what is midlife crisis, and it's more it's a case of, it doesn't affect one specific age group, but it's just a way of framing things so people feel that they have a space. So is it just Gen X's? And Gen X, I'm using the term Gen X just really as a polite way of saying midlife crisis. It just sort of sounds better than midlife crisis, right? But it's really, it's not, it doesn't, midlife crisis doesn't affect just a specific age group. It can affect you from whatever age, right? From your late 20s onwards. So really, it's just I'm grouping it this way as an easy way to find someone who can help you if you're going through those difficulties. I mean, recently there's so many in my age group and friends, the big C's hitting a lot of people, it seems. Heart attacks, people dying, like in my age group. And it's kind of freaking out because we don't have that time anymore where you just say, okay, I'll do that later. Because doing that later is actually, if you really think about it, it's usually when you're in your 20s. If you think back, those things you wanted to do, they're back in your 20s. We don't have that time anymore. So what I'm trying to do is bring awareness to, hey, you got to do whatever you want to do now. You don't have time to waste. But also on the other side of that, I'm also trying to say that some people feel useless. Some people feel they don't fit in. And I'm trying to say that you can't buy experience. You've got all this experience. You've got 40, 50 years of experience. So use that. Like, don't throw it away. And I guess that's also another thing about going into the coaching game as well, is that I just felt I didn't have anything to give, and I was trying to recreate something from scratch. Whereas going this way, I feel it's an extension of everything that I've been doing. So I don't feel like I'm just starting out. I'm learning the tools, but I've always been empathetic towards people. So yeah, I'm going off on a tangent there, but it's just, hey, you have so much experience. Don't throw it away, because if you're going to be lived to 80 years old, 90 years old, now is the time to learn from all those mistakes from before, and now is the time to put that all into use, and it'll save you time. You've got the experience, and people do want your experience. So that's kind of the route I'm going. That it's almost like you're going to your parents' friend's house with your parents, and you're a teen. You're 13, 14, and you don't know whether they're going to put you at the kids' table or they're going to put you with the parents, right? Yeah. So you don't really know, and I'm going, well, you know what? Screw it. Just do it your way. Like you should be proud, and you should stand up, and you should, all those battle scars, use them,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it is kind of shocking to be like to kind of hit a certain age. In fact, we were out last night, and I think my wife said something to the tune of like, it's weird that there are people younger than us now that you can now say, oh, when I was your age, I was like, shit, like that was 10 years ago. They're 25 now, they're 27, right? It's like, I remember when I was that age, and kind of that Faces song, what's the lyric? It's like, I wish I knew back then what I know now, kind of thing. Yeah. So I guess what's the process like working with you on if somebody were to show up and it's like, yeah, I think I need to work with you. Like, what does that process look like?
Well, I mean, the process, it's, if somebody who hasn't done coaching before, it's really sitting down and establishing where you're at. What's bothering you? What's on top of your mind? Coaching very much of unlayering. It's like, the person's like an onion. It's just different levels. So usually somebody will come over with an issue, and by the end of the conversation, it would have got a lot deeper. So really, it's establishing those boundaries, but it's also really talking about what's on top of the person's mind, and really just talking and sparring with each other to see if we're a good fit. That's the initial process. And then from there, what we're looking for is an end goal. What do you want to achieve? What is it that you're looking for by the end of, for example, 6 sessions? So at the end of it, what is it that you're looking for? And by defining that, it's not a conversation, it becomes coaching. as I said before, coaching is not about an opinion. It's really me guiding you with questions, but it's all you. It's all you working through yourself. Typically, it's 2 weeks between sessions. It gives you enough time to go off and think about what we've discussed and take action. So, yeah, the initial process is really sitting down and talking. What I've found is a lot of people, especially men, we're not used to talking. So usually people don't shut up. They just want to talk. It's been pretty refreshing for people to speak. Yeah. So, and I myself have a coach, and I probably should have got a coach a lot longer, a lot earlier. But hindsight and all that. The next thing is probably going to be for myself will be therapist.
Yeah.
Therapy is typically looking at things in the past, working on yourself from the past, and coaching is looking forward. I've spoken to some people who, therapy is their thing. They've got issues they want to sort out. So really the process is sitting down with the person, firstly making sure that we understand where we are, setting the boundaries, seeing where it is that person wants to go, where they are now, and measuring that progress in every session. So yeah, that's the process in a nutshell.
Man, well, I mean, it's fascinating to see kind of the shift you're taking. And so how are you right now, reaching the people who need you the most? Like, what do those avenues and channels look like for you?
It's in some ways a lot easier than it was before in terms of brand strategy for tourism. And that is because really I reached out to the people closest to me. Or, I mean, when I say closest to me, people that I've known, but I might not have spoken to them in 20 years. I initially sent out a message requesting some help doing research on my ideal clients. And, I was looking for 8 people, I got 26 responses. So it's been really refreshing. Wow. Yeah. So not everybody's looking for coaching. Some people don't even know what it is. And coaching's got such a bad name as well. So yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I've gone the diploma route, trying to get my ICF accreditation. But yeah, so really in the beginning, it's been pretty good reaching out to people that are closest to me. And from there, I'm trying to build it. So really my preferred platform is LinkedIn. I just like that platform. I'm on Instagram as well. And I'm slowly building that up organically. But LinkedIn, a little bit more difficult, but it's the reach has got it's getting quite. I'm reaching out to quite a few people, and we're talking on average probably 10 people a day are connecting. That's me signing up with them, and there's a few that are automatic or just going straight to me. So it feels right. You know what I mean? It feels like it doesn't feel forced. What I really aim to do now is to set up a group. I don't want to set up a community. I'm just a bit, I don't know, communities I'm not sure of yet. I haven't found anything that I really, for me, a community, I'm with one community at the moment, and it's a cohort, and that's ending soon because the courses are ending soon. So what I'd like to do is actually set up a group Zoom with like-minded guys where you literally 5 or 6 max, and you literally just talking about what's on the top of your mind. That's the next step. And I think that that actually came up today again because of, sadly somebody, there's been somebody close to me in my family who's now just been diagnosed terminally ill. And as I said before, there's just so many people that I'm seeing that are, friends of friends and people that I've known that are passing away, sadly. And it just scares me because it's touching a nerve. It's like it's that close. So really, I feel that having a small group where you can voice what's bothering you, and it's not going to be a paid group, just to start figuring out how to release some of that pressure off your back, off your shoulders, right? And then from there, if there's any coaching that's needed or wanted, we can then go into that. So that's the avenue I'm going at the moment. It's a lot more organic and slower than my previous brand strategy was.
Sure.
I'm just trying to build that foundation, which I think is pretty crucial.
Yeah, we in a previous one of these, I was talking with Ryan Orico, and he was hot under the collar about the idea of a community, and how his thesis is all communities are bullshit, right? Like, okay, fine. Because if you set out just to be like, we're a community to do this, like, no, the community is the byproduct of the thing that you're actually making, right? It's nobody joins the Apple community, right? You buy the iPhone, and then eventually you wind your way in there. Next thing you know, all the stuff you have is Apple related. And so, I mean, but yeah, maybe if it's small and with intention of it's not a community, it's a Zoom call that we do once a month, whatever, and eventually that becomes just a more organic community. The conclusion we reached with Ryan was that it's not about community, it's about the conversations that you're starting. And so it's not that people have to come to a place to have that conversation, but you make a post on LinkedIn that starts a conversation. Just a text message or whatever to somebody you're starting that conversation that eventually sort of develops into this idea that we know as a community. So yeah, that's I'll keep an eye out for that, because I'm curious to see where that would go.
I mean, it's really a case of, look, at the end of the day, of course, I this is what I do. I'm coaching. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, I am looking for people who are looking for coaching. But having this community, just a small community, because also at the end of the day, I'm also just realizing there's different personalities, and you do want to have everybody in that community who gets on, or who you think will get on. So really, it's I'm actually going to be learning as much as other people are within those communities. It's giving me content to put out there. So it's a pretty much, in the beginning, I guess it's well, not in the beginning, the community, all these little informal chats are, in my opinion, they're benefiting me as well as the people that are in them. As soon as that stops, then it's time to let that go. I mean, the other thing to think about, usually when things are free, people's commitments aren't as strong. However, I feel that there's enough bullshit, worry, stress, anxiousness for people to actually want to hop on for a call for 45 minutes or for an hour and literally just moan and bitch on what's bothering them, Of
course.
And that's it's going to be called shooting the shit or something like that. And that's literally what it's about. And then from there, if there's any need, or if people want to take it further, group sessions could be arranged. So it's really testing everything out. And I think that's a crucial thing. I think it's always going to be testing. What do people actually want?
Yeah, and with building really anything in a brand, in a company, it's it's a nice idea that things like, okay, here's the product, it's done, right? Like, no, it's this is a version of the product that you've released out, and you're going to test on it to be like, this is either working or it's not, right? Which is, again, kind of going back to the Apple thing. It's just like, they may put out a device, but you're still getting updates, right? And they're still saying, hey, you gotta do this update now. You can't cancel it anymore. You have to do it because they're learning, they're testing, and they're saying, actually, it's not setting A that's working, it's setting B. So let's go that route. Because this is OutWord, and this is all about my things about putting the pen to the page and writing. How does writing work in with both what you do, your daily the world of Andre, and then what you have people do through what you do at StrikeNorth?
Okay, so the first part on the writing, it's pretty therapeutic. Yeah, it's pretty therapeutic. But I mean, when I say writing, it's really just jotting ideas down really quickly, and it's pretty much formatted for LinkedIn. So I wouldn't call it writing. I'd call it a bunch of ideas that are on a piece of paper or on a screen. What I will be doing is I will be writing some of these out and creating a blog. I noticed my website, I'm getting a few more hits now. but nobody's really staying on there, right? And there's nothing really to stay on there for. So I do think that blog needs to go back up there. In terms of, so that's the first part. So the writing is pretty good. I'm enjoying that, actually. You know, you go through these sort of, like today I had what would you call it, like inspiration, that, and again, it was an inspiration of we just don't have enough time to fuck around anymore. And so when I get those bubbles of inspiration, then I'm writing, and then I put it to the side, and I'm not in a rush to post everything in one go, but it's just getting those ideas out. Now, the second part of your question, what was that again?
So once is there any component of writing or some kind of journaling for people who you work with through StrikeNorth? Like, is there anything you assign to them to be like, hey, I need you to go and think on this and write it down and see where it goes?
No, but that's an interesting. No. So
Okay.
that's an interesting avenue. That's I recently spoke to somebody who runs a he's a creative who's now designed a mindfulness is it an app? It's a website where it's about journaling. So, and it's for companies. It's aimed at companies where your staff rate how they are from in different points of the day, and they write how they're feeling. And it's really about how they can, looking for better quality of life and work-life balance. I'm partnering up with them. So that will be something that I offer people that are on the coaching program, on my coaching program. So that is something in the pipeline you'll probably see in the next couple of days on LinkedIn.
For sure.
So yeah, but let's throw that question back out to you in terms of me speaking to people that I'm working with and journaling.
Yeah,
I'd like to
I'd say for you personally, you're talking about these flashes of inspiration, right, that come around, and a lot of folks that I work with, I tell all of my clients, like, hey, I know you hired me to write for you, but I'm actually going to make you write, and you have to do right, because I need to know where your head's at and how you're thinking. But the thing is, like, when somebody sits down with their notebook and every morning, and then they don't know where to start, right? And so it's like, okay, but you have these flashes of ideas all day long. So now you're carrying around 3x5 note cards, right? And each one of these is big enough for one of those ideas, right? You write it down, put a date on it, put it away for later. And then when you sit down to actually do the journaling process, right, it's like now suddenly, this is just in the last month, you have just dozens, if not hundreds, of places to jump off. Like, all of this showed up in a flash of inspiration for some reason, and you just didn't have the time in the moment to address it, but now it's still here. What are you going to do with it, right? Because the whole process of really putting pen to the page is to take those ideas, those emotions, those feelings, and literally put them down in black and white, right? And to really bring them back down to size so that you can do something with them.
Yeah. Well,
that's all it is.
I like that, but what I'm doing is you're not gonna like this, but what I'm doing is I use my notes on my phone. I know there's this cognitive thing for brain, hand, paper, but I'm using notes on my phone, and that's where I just literally my notes are just, it's just, there's a lot there. And what's actually happened over the last 2 months or so, I've now actually got a defined boundary to work within. So like, I've now got, if I look at my phone, I'm now happy. Like, basically my content it's done. Like, it takes very little for me to do that now because I have everything there. So it's not written out clearly, but every day now I know what I got to write about. I got guidelines now. So so I've got like my posting series. So, signs of midlife. So I've got everything. Like, you're like headers. So it helps me write. So your life is on autopilot. So what does that look like? How does it feel? How can we move past that? Or I've got the 13 limited mindsets people suffer from, which are from people that I've spoken to, I got tons of this now. And then I got inspirations of people that have started out or become successful later on in life. When I say success, I'm talking about actors. It's easy for us to relate to actors or people in business. Success is different for everybody. So yeah, I've got those. That it's pretty much what you said, but it's a little bit more because I've been doing it for a little while now. It's like what you've got there, but it's a little bit more. It's a little bit more for me. It's a little bit more structure for me to work off of. I'm not very structured, so it helps me.
Yeah, I mean, the process is different for everybody. It's just as long as there's something in place that you have a place to put it, because you leave it in your head, you're gonna lose it, right? So as long as there's a place to put it down, that's the emphasis that I go for. So
yeah, I mean, somebody challenged me. My coach actually challenged me to write a book. So what I'm not writing a book right now, but what I've done is I'm outlining what I would write, and that's the 50 ways that surfing has helped me in life. Or,
sure.
I haven't got that header yet, but there's a lot there. So, at the moment I'm on 21. If I only get to 21 and that's it, then that's it. It's fine.
Yeah, you just got to change the title.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
20. Cool. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this up here for today. We did all this talking. We didn't even start to talk about you and surfing. So we're gonna have to save that for a future thing. But yeah, so how can people find you? Like, where are you at?
I'm on LinkedIn on Andre Gagiano. Yeah, Andre Gagiano, which I'll give you the links anyway. And then my website as well, which is StrikeNorth, www.strikenorth.com, or on Instagram as StrikeNorth. So yeah, it should be easy enough. But thank you so much for having me on your show. It's good to catch up. It's been too long.
On this show. Yeah, I guess it's kind of a
Yeah,
show
man.
now. I never thought I'd be doing something like this. So, all right. Well, thanks for jumping on. We finally got this isn't Instagram Live. This is just a boring old Zoom, but we'll get this figured out. So,
Nice.
Andre with StrikeNorth, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I'll let you go hit those waves this weekend, and yeah, let's talk soon.
You know what, dude?
Yeah, just hit that. We'll stop recording, I guess.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Super.